So effective branding can mean the difference between obscurity and success in a crowded market. You might want to wonder how. I will look at the common pitfalls to avoid, the key strategies for creating a memorable brand, and the changing landscape of digital branding. And that's what this episode is all about. We've got for you packed with insight, and we will not, this is something you really do not want to miss on the conversation today. Whether you're a business owner that's looking to strengthen your brand, or simply curious about the power of branding in our digital age. So welcome to Enterprise Chat here at MSME Africa. I'm your host, Ara Nimi. Yes, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just click the button right there below. Thank you so much. And back to the deal now. We are going to be talking about how to get your branding right as a small business owner. This is really important, right? Yes, I have with me today Rotimi Wusu. He's the head corporate communications at Nigerian Breweries Limited. He's a well-rounded media communication specialist with high level and hands-on expertise in branding and corporate communications. He's gained extensive experience in branding, copywriting, outdoor advertising, digital marketing, sales and marketing roles for both agencies and corporate organizations. You choke. I'm going to stop here. It's good to have you on the conversation today, Mr. Rotimi.
Good evening, Aranumi. I'm very excited to be with you on MSME today, and I believe we're really going to have a real lovely time trying to look into these issues on our table.
In fact, you really have to help us, dig deep and delve deep into. I want to give you 30 seconds to just talk to us about yourself briefly, beyond what I have read in your profile.
Thank you very much, Aranumi. So, Rotimi is also a member of Junior Chamber International. It's a training institute for leadership organizations. I'm also an associate member of Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. I'm also a certified microfinance chartered banker. I'm a family man, happily married with 2 kids. I love to go on adventures. I love to travel. And I love to also relax within my circles and have great times. I'm a thinker. I try to disrupt wherever I find myself doing that. And that's a
All
little
right.
bit about me.
All right, that's right. Thank you so much for sharing. We're really pleased to have you join us today. So we're talking about something which is really very important for every business, for every organization, and for every person, even if you're putting yourself out there as the business. You understand, talking about branding. What exactly is the idea of branding? Because I feel like a lot of people do not even understand what this really means. What's the idea of branding?
Okay, so branding is a cliche that has been mixed up all over the years. And so what you hear is, somebody comes to you and says, "Oh, brand me, brand my store, brand my clothes, brand this." But in all that they are saying and they're putting together, there is one specific thing that they have not missed out. And that's the fact that they are talking about identity. And we see when you're talking about branding, it dates back even onto the Stone Ages. And how do I mean that? If you go well into your history books, you would notice that people who owned things, animals those days, they will put some signs on those animals. So if you see cattle riders, you see them, they try to put a particular kind of paint on their animals, or they put a sign with a hot screw on animals. Even during the slave trade, you would see that people were inscribed with a lot of things. It's all about identity. And what that means is you want to be distinct, you want to stand out. So when you're talking about branding from that perspective, it's all about creating an identity for yourself. Now, that identity can now come in different form. It can come in areas of visual. It could be the areas of how you define your persona. It could come on what you say audible. It could also become in how you smell. So you have perfume brands and you're like, oh, I can smell this particular brand. So it's all about creating an identity for yourself. Even if you go religious route, go back ages, you will see that each religion, traditional, and every other religion that we've had, they've got an identity that they use to describe themselves. And that's really what branding is about. You defining an identity for yourself.
Hmm. I think you have really broken it down what seemed to be quite complex, and I enjoyed the fact that you took us back to the old times, and I think I'm even going to read up more on that. So branding, you've explained it, creating an identity for yourself. There are mistakes that a lot of businesses make, people who are running businesses. What are these common branding mistakes that they make, and how can they avoid them to build a successful brand identity, like you mentioned?
So for businesses, it, it's much more than just having a logo or a color. There's more to that. So at the time that you are defining your business and you are defining the kind of service or product you are going into, that's when you start thinking and talking about branding. So you don't make the mistakes even from the little basics of what determines your name. You know, your name goes a long way to determine how you want to drive your brand, because these are the foundational basis. And these are the mistakes a lot of people make. So you want to grow a brand, and then from the time that you coin even the name, you coin your vision, the things that drive your business, you've missed it from that point.
Hmm.
And then we tend to also be selfish with what I call our prejudices. So, oh, I love blue as a color. And because I love blue as a color, I must use it on all my products or on my services. And then the question is, does that really resonate with your particular kind of business you are doing? So that's
Hmm.
another mistake we make along the way. Another thing that a lot of people make a mistake on is the ability not to be consistent over the years. So, oh, I see that Aranimi has green today. She's speaking with this kind of font today. She's put some flowery things on her identities. The way her people are talking and I love it. And then I jettison all I have been doing and I want to follow you. And then tomorrow, when I don't like your face again, I move to another thing. So you don't be. So if you look at great brands, what they've done is they've been consistent over the years. They've maintained their identities. They've built it and scale it over and over a period of time, because it now begins to stay focused in their mind and is entrenched in their heart about what this brand stands for. So that's what consistency has really helped some of those brands. This is one thing a lot of us make a mistake. We're too quick to change. We're too quick to want to ditch what we've been using for. We're teaching because it's not working or it's not making us feel, probably because we made that mistake from the beginning, and then we want to throw it out.
Hmm. Nice. You've actually really spoken well, giving us all those insights and what really pitfalls that should be avoided, particularly when the question of branding or creating an identity for yourself, is brought forward. So I want you to also talk about examples, because I've seen over time there are some even big organizations that have actually had to rebrand. I think there was a time that Coca-Cola had to even change the shape. Coca-Cola has changed the shape of their bottles now for like how many times, although it's been a while now. So can you provide like experience examples of like successful rebranding efforts and the key factors that contributed to their successes?
Okay, so you look at some of these brands, and what they've really tried to do is it gets to a point in the life of every brand, say, that you need to really move to the next level. So if you go back to what I said about your brand being your identity, being your life, it is also your soul of your business. And a particular time will come in that life of that business or service that you feel, oh, we are no longer meeting what we represent. It could be because your businesses have grown larger than your name has grown larger than what you are offering, and you now need to play in a pedestal that is even higher and better than you. So what you see is that you now begin to see brands come up and say they want to rebrand. So when you are rebranding and you are changing, there's a whole lot of things that come to play that you're changing in. It could be because time and legendary has taken shape over the years. I mean, if you look in the banking sector, you have quite a whole lot of that. I mean, if you know how First Bank started over the years, the kind of identities they have, the kind of structures they have, the kind of services they have, and then the way they have metamorphosized from that conservative nature to become someone who can play in that space and trend over the years. You would see that. I mean, in my own organization, also, if you look at how Nigerian breweries have started, if you look at some of our flagship products, the Maltina that a lot of you are used to, the Maltina started in the 70s. I mean, the bottles you see today are quite different from what you see today. Those people, and those things are come from a whole lot of things like research. So you look at consumer research and what are the trends and what are the people looking out forward to. You look at also what is the cultural affinity at those points. So there was a time years ago that black was never a cool color to play with. But today, black is a color that a lot of people play with. So if you had run away from black as an identity those years, it's something you might begin to embrace, trying to put out kind of feel you have. So those are quite a whole lot of things that are business expansion also could make you change some of the things relating to your branding. I mean, a lot of people begin to have some international feel, they begin to get wide and expand, and they now need to play in those areas. So those are the some of the things that would affect and make a brand to want to change their identities over and over. And it's a life. So I would say it's like when you have a child who grows, there will be a time the child will dress like a baby and a kid, and then that child will no longer, if that child just dress like a kid at the age of 20, something is wrong with that child. So you begin to see a whole lot of change the way they talk, the way they relate, and then it begins to grow even onto the very old age. And that is how why a brand is really like a soul of a product or the services of that organization.
Thank you so much. While you were talking, another question just, dropped in my mind, and this is really personal for me. I think there are people out there that might be like me who might learn from this. Sometimes when we talk about brands, people probably feel it's a tangible product, it's a business. They do not even understand that even you as a person, you are a brand. You can be a brand. You have the likes of Davido, you have big musicians, you have actors, you have influencers. They are brands on their own. Now I'm facing a challenge right now where I am trying to separate myself as a brand from what I do. How do we marry that? What comes to play in that context?
So it might become very difficult for you because the truth is, while we're talking about product and services, we also have brands that are personalities, and you see them
Exactly.
a lot. And for those of us probably in corporate world, you have corporate leaders who are brand personalities. So they
Exactly.
become, I mean, the way what they speak, what they do, when they eat, how they gym, all those things play, and they become an inspiration to people. So we begin to look at them. We've seen their
Yes,
life personally. We've seen their organizations. I mean, you
yes.
have
I
them
think we
there.
have an example of Tony Elumelu.
Exactly. I mean, TOE is a brand that a whole lot of people within the corporate sector will look out for. And even while he sits as heads of very big multinationals, those multinationals have their identity on their own. And he has built his own brand personalities. I know. And how has he built his own by telling his own story? So if you look
Mm.
at some of our celebrities, look at some of our top artists, some of our top corporate people, they tell their story to determine how you see their brand. And they tell their story, the things they do, the things they wear, the interactions they have, and then the places they go to. So you would be that is why when you notice that personalities deviate from what they stand for as an individual, people would say, oh, what happened to this person's brand? It's just the same thing when organizations also depart from what are their values, what are their visions, what are their missions. It begins to act there. So for you, you have what is your corporate, your business life, and you build that brand. But for your personality, what do you build for your own personal life? I mean, what do people, when you leave a room, what should people remember you for? What should people think about you for? That is the brands that you are building, and your consistency over the years will determine how well you can grow that your own personal brand.
Thank you. Okay, so now let's also get to the point whereby we know that we are in a digital age, right? How has the landscape of branding evolved? What key strategies should businesses prioritize in their online branding efforts? Everybody, I can, say literally everybody is online right now, and online is the deal. Internet, go on social media platforms. That's where most people are cashing out right now. So, what key strategies should businesses prioritize in their online branding efforts?
So for with the way the online space has played, it's important that for brands to identify the platforms they will play effectively. For
Mm-hmm.
your business, know which platform works for your business. Not all platforms will work for your business. Understand your target audience and where they play. And that is where you will play your businesses. I mean, if you're a consultant, there's nothing you are doing on Instagram. Everybody just to be on LinkedIn, and that is where you're going to be consulting. You're meeting people of like minds who you want to put it. You're a recruiter, that's where places you're going to be playing in. Nobody will be looking at you from Facebook and all that. So you must identify what works for your business. What are you selling? What is the services you are beginning to play? Once that comes in, then you can play on that field online. Now, having identified that, it's also important for you to understand that while online looks free, you also have to invest. So you have to invest in building your consistency and your content. And what technology has done now is has make those tools very simplified. Those years, if you've never worked with a Corel Draw and Adobe, you couldn't get a design done. But right now, there are so many tools that you need. You don't need a full production outfit to shoot a video again. With your phone, you could shoot, and with a good app, you could edit and put all those things out there. So what it gives is that it gives a lot of MSMEs opportunities to push their narrative and their organizations out there at very low budget. I mean, at very low budget, it's very available, and that's at the beauty of what technology will drive for you. And then by the time you now put in a whole lot of spending in area of your ads and pushing to your right audience, you're just connecting with your target audience, and you're making your business and your brand grow. And then another thing that online has also played for us now is the fact that you must now be very, very sensitive with your perception. So, in the area of perception, which is another branding part, which for businesses is very key, because we online, the limit to which people will be very patient with you is very small. You make a mistake, you can be dragged on your back. So you really have to be out there. You must get your customer service very well. You must get your contact details very well. And I always tell some people, if you're an MSME and you're no longer active or functional, or your business is in a phase where it's not active, put a notice out there. Don't let people start looking out and trying to contact you, and they find out that, oh, these people are no longer been in operation in the last 6 7 months. So what's the big deal? Let people know what is really happening about those brands, about your organizations and your brand. And then those consistency and those communication are also part of the things that you must grow with the online market.
Okay, so there's a second part to the question that you just answered right now, and because we talked about values, talking about having a mission, and there are the whole the advent of technology, the internet, the digital age has allowed or placed everybody on the same pedestal where we can now run equally. It has given people opportunities,
That's
right?
right.
So you have so many people doing the same thing right now. So in this competitive sector or in this competitive age that we are, how do you now, distinct yourself from others? How do you make your brand stand out? Because the competition is really high right now.
Exactly. So there's a couple of things that you can make your brands to stand out. And I always advise that it's also important that you don't assume. So even if it's a little dipstick research that you can do, it's very important for MSMEs to push some of these things and find out, number one, what are your target audience, what are your competitors doing, what are the things the audience want that will set you apart. You don't assume it. You don't sit down and assume it. I always say there are some products and services that you have to be on the streets. So that's the hard part of it, to feel what your consumers really want. And then you distinct yourself in those places. So those distinctions are what will drive your brand. I can have a service and say, you know what, I'm going to make sure deliveries get to you. If deliveries are done in 6 hours, I will do deliveries in 3 hours. I want to do deliveries in 2 hours. And that's what's going to distinct me from every other person. And I'm going to work to push those narratives. So I'm going to be looking at things in areas of technology and logistics to make sure I can get this out for you out there. Distinction comes from your ability to understand what does your customer, what does, I would call it, that particular customer want. Some just want a very good experience with you. Some just want the speed of ability to navigate online with ease without going through a whole lot of process before they pick up something. They want to do it in 2 steps and they've gotten their services. Now, if that is what going to make you distinct, then you have to play on that and go to distinct. And once you have that distinction factor, ride on it and push that with communication. And this is what sets you apart. For some people, it's about the taste. For some people, it's about the way the package is. It gives you that distinction, and then they push those information out there.
Hmm. Amazing. Well said. So, well, this brings us to the last question I'll be asking now. What advice do you have for businesses that are looking to establish a strong brand presence while they are staying true to their core values and their mission?
So for guys in the MSME sectors, and you really want to build your brand, with a lot I have seen happen with so many of those organizations, it's very important that they have patience with what they are building. It's very important that you have patience and be consistent with what they are pushing. You must be able to push your identity consistently over time. Once people get to have that entrenched in their mind, they must begin to sleep, think, and live that your brand. That is very key. It's also very key for them to identify what is their roadmap of business. Now, your roadmap of business will also determine the distinctions you will bring to play. So, a lot of people would do what we call now, oh, I see someone doing this, business A is doing this, and I just want to take it, copy it, and then push it out there immediately. But you've not bothered to find out what has business A been able to do underneath to make it stand distinct. These are the things that you need to really get out to push those. And then you must also invest in the personnel that run your business. So if you are the individual running that business, invest in yourself. Invest in your personnel. Because how you treat people, the customer's experience, the kind of experience and the kind of and love they get from your product or your services will go a long way in staying in their mind, because those are the values you're going to be giving them over and over time. And then finally, it's also important that you celebrate your brand. So when I say celebrate your brand, communicate it out. Your little wins, your big wins, push it out there, push the narrative,
Mhm.
talk about it, let it go around the world, let it go viral for you. And you don't know who is looking out there, who is trying to get across to you and become the very best.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Rotimi
you very
Wusu,
much.
Head of Corporate Communications at Nigerian Breweries Limited. It was really an amazing time chatting with you today on, we're talking about how to get your branding right as a small business owner, and you've done justice to
Exactly.
it. This is where we come to the end of the conversation, but we still have to say a very big thank you to you. Thank you so much for your time on the conversation.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
All right, guys. We've come to the end of today's show. I really had a nice time. Learned about branding, personal branding, branding for your business. So if you want to know the strategies to use, the pitfalls to avoid, don't forget to watch this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. In the main, I have an announcement. So we are thrilled to let you know that the very first ever physical edition of our Business Growth Series is holding this month of September on the 19th. So do make sure that you join us at 10 a.m. at ICANN BOI Innovative Hub in Ebute Metta here in Lagos. So make sure you join the meeting. It's going to be amazing. This is where we come to the end of the conversation. Thank you all for joining us. I remain your host, Aranimi. Don't forget you can connect with us on our social media platform on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at MSME Africa. Until we see you next time, it's goodbye from here.